Hi, I'm Garvin DeShazer, and today we'll be hearing about parents who faced an unthinkable medical decision and whose faith and persistence led them to a treatment that became a source of hope for many. As a parent, I felt my heart having to expand just to take in this story. I hope you'll find it as uplifting as I did, because this is your daily inspiration. The parents watched in horror as their boy thrashed around on the floor, wailing, choking, and flailing his limbs. "What's happening to our son?" It was like something out of a bad horror film. Their vibrant, bright boy was gone, replaced with something unrecognizable. Is he physically sick? Is he mentally ill? Was it something we did? They didn't have any answers, but they knew they couldn't stop until they found them. Raised in Washington, D.C., the young boy's father was an Italian economist, his mother a translator and linguist. The boy was energetic, precocious, and spoke 3 languages. Lorenzo's parents knew something was wrong when Lorenzo suddenly began stumbling and slurring his speech and having temper tantrums at school. When they came home one day and found him thrashing in a violent fit, they rushed him to the doctor. But the diagnosis was far worse than they could have anticipated. It hit them like a kick in the gut. "Your son has ALD," the physician said. "It's an inborn condition that causes degeneration of the brain. It only affects males, usually between the ages of 5 and 10. We don't know much about it, but we do know that it's fatal and incurable. Those with ALD will become deaf, blind, and paralyzed before dying. Your son probably will not live more than 2 years." 2 years! The words sliced through their hearts like razors. He was only 5 years old. He had such intelligence and life inside him. They had always envisioned Lorenzo growing into adulthood, thriving in whatever he put his mind to. Now, all of that would be gone in just 2 years. How could they let him go? "We were being told to go home and watch Lorenzo die," his father, Augusto, said. "We couldn't, and we didn't." Lorenzo's parents went in search of better answers. Augusto began studying the biochemistry of the nervous system. Both he and Michaela, Lorenzo's mother, called doctors, biologists, and researchers around the world. When their efforts failed, they just went deeper. In 1984, the Adones organized a first-ever symposium on ALD with experts in the condition, some of whom learned about each other's work for the first time. They called more specialists. They grew to be so knowledgeable that the scientists they were talking with often assumed they were speaking to another physician. Despite their efforts, they hit wall after wall, including with other parents of kids with ALD. "You're going to teach the doctors?" said one parent. "Back where I come from, we call that arrogance." Unperturbed, Augusto replied, "Yes, it is arrogance. Comes from the Latin word arrogare, to claim for oneself. And I claim for myself the right to fight for my child's life. Unless someone is willing to question, to provoke, how will there ever be progress?" The more resistance the Adones met, the more urgently they fought. It was a scream to be heard. When Augusto and Michaela looked at Lorenzo, they saw a vibrant soul with limitless potential, a rich future about to be destroyed by a ravaging illness. When doctors looked at Lorenzo, they saw a textbook tragedy, a series of biochemical events, the relentless progression of a disease. How could they help the doctors see what they saw? A human being. Augusto and Michaela knew words would not do it, only action. So they began experimenting. They set up a laboratory in their home. Their research sparked a light bulb moment of discovery: olive oil and rapeseed oil. If the long-chain fatty acids are the major cause of damage in the nerve cells to people with ALD, then an extract of the oils could, in theory, break these acids down. Soon, they partnered with scientists to develop the formula. The Adones were warned that the oil could make Lorenzo's condition worse, not better. But given how fast he was deteriorating, they decided it was a risk worth taking. After experimenting, tweaking, and charting, Augusto and Michaela developed a formula. Then a miracle emerged. They saw their son's condition improve. They named the oil Lorenzo's Oil, and in 1989 the Adones set up the Myelin Project, which carries out research on the oil, ALD, and similar disorders. By this time, Lorenzo was physically incapacitated, blind and partially deaf, but still mentally lucid. Michaela refused to treat him as a vegetable, instead nurturing his intellectual curiosity by reading to him endlessly and playing music for him. She also helped him devise a means of communicating with others by patterns of blinking his eyes and wiggling his fingers. If you had ever seen how Lorenzo responded to the way my father and mother embraced him in life, wrapped him in love, you would see he was a living being who knew he was loved, says Christina, Lorenzo's sister. That's what they gave him, but it was very difficult. Lorenzo's oil was a highly effective treatment, but not a cure. Eventually, Lorenzo had to be tube-fed, and in his final years he was almost totally paralyzed. Lorenzo Adone died at the age of 30, 22 years longer than the doctors had predicted. Although not a cure for all, Lorenzo's oil has benefited many others with the condition and paved the way for other more promising treatments for ALD. The Adones' persistence paid off. Initially rejected by the medical establishment and even other families, Augusto and Michaela courageously kept going until their voices were heard and a treatment was found. In turn, they rewrote medical history and provided a beacon of hope for many. What barriers do you face in your life that silence a voice that may be screaming to be heard? How far are you willing to go to get the help you or someone you love needs? Will you say, "I am worth listening to," and speak up today? Thanks for listening. May your day be filled with love, laughter, and joy. Bye for now.
Hi, this is Scott, producer for the Daily Inspirations podcast. We hope you're enjoying these stories, and if you'd like more inspiration in your life, visit mydailyim.com. You can find weekend blog posts, sign up for our email update list, and you can let us know about an inspirational story you'd like us to cover. Or just say hi. We'd love to hear from you.